The history of famous pirates, their ships, and the areas that they operated in. When it comes to pirates, one thinks of the Jolly Roger, pirate ships, and eye patches. We also think of the Caribbean area of the world just south of the Gulf of Mexico. This was made famous by Walt Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean films. The flamboyant Captain Jack Sparrow is a typical depiction of a pirate. His pirate ship, named the Black Pearl, is also built off legend and folklore. These films also have produced what is, in my opinion, the best version of the Flying Dutchman as well. But in reality, piracy will occur anywhere where there are valuables and vulnerable people to steal it from. But pirates largely had most of their success, in fact, in the Caribbean. This body of water lies beneath the Gulf of Mexico in an area between North America and South America. There are hundreds of islands in the Caribbean. It is full of treacherous reefs also. There were also many places in which to hide. The Caribbean coastline of Panama was one of the most traveled trade routes in the 1600s. In the southern Americas, the Spanish colonies on the coastlines and the areas would also have to deal with piracy. The Chagres River represents the shortest possible route from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean without having to circle down around South America. This would be a basis on which all Spanish imperial trade route cargo ships would travel. The Chagres estuary is special in the fact that all of the vital supplies would travel through the area to supply the colonies, from gold and silver to silk, spices, and weapons. Supply ships would sail through the estuary to keep the economy in the colonies moving. As a result, this was a very tempting target for the pirates. Many pirates were in fact privateers working for their kings, splitting the plunder. Technically, by acting on their own behalf, these privateers would keep the countries they came from and were serving out of the spotlight without blame and avoiding war. In the 17th century, there was a location in the Caribbean Sea called Port Royal. It was located on the southeastern part of Jamaica. This port was actually a colony of England. This area was made wealthy by stolen treasures from the Spanish colonies. Its reputation actually had led to it being labeled as the wickedest city on earth. During this time period, it had a population of nearly 8,000 people. The amount of pubs and brothels located there far exceeded any other British colony. On June 7, 1692, an earthquake would destroy parts of the city. The damage would result in 2/3 of it being taken by the sea. The area would also be victim of a tsunami as well, which would result in more destruction of the city. Certain areas of the city literally sank due to the fact that it was built upon sandbars. As the earthquake shook the area, the sand leveled, allowing water in. This action would be known as liquefaction. The end result would be areas that were once above water would now be located at the bottom of the ocean. When it comes to pirate ships, usually there would be vessels captured by pirate raids, usually starting out small, and as the pirate crews plundered more, the size of the vessel would also increase. The increase in ship size represented more firepower as well as more cargo space. This space could accommodate more plunder, as well as more pirates to use as the crew and raiding force. When it came to arming and manning ships, usually the pirates would be recruited in the Caribbean and certain parts of the world. The cannons would be captured, whether it was from ships or on land, such as forts. It was more common to have different weapons, such as cannon sizes as well, as their origins being different. Different cannon sizes from different parts of the world were normal for a pirate ship. In addition to the larger cannons, many pirate ships preferred smaller cannons to be used on people, as opposed to causing damage that would sink the ship. This would allow the pirates to capture the ship, take the cargo, and in some instances used the captured ship itself for pirating. In the 18th century, the ship size of choice for pirates were a faster, smaller variety. This type of ship was known as a sloop. Not only were these types of vessels faster, but they could easily hide in areas inaccessible to larger ships that would give chase. Such hiding places could consist of coves and reefs, in which the Caribbean had in abundance. There were many, many pirates in the 17th and 18th centuries. In fact, piracy still happens today along unprotected trade routes and shipping lanes. Anywhere there are valuables being transported by vulnerable, unprotected people and ships, there will be pirates. But among the long-lost pirates through the years, I'm going to focus on three. These pirates were famous for plundering as well as being fierce. But believe it or not, many pirates were acting privateers, who in fact worked secretly for their kings. They would actually split the plunder with their countries of origin. Let's begin with the first pirate, Captain Henry Morgan. Captain Henry Morgan was born in Britain. His pirate ship was named the Satisfaction, or the Satisfaction of Henry Morgan. He spent years raiding the Spanish Mains. These were Spanish colonies in the southern Americas that were mainly in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea. In 1670, he would launch a large raid in which he brought his own fleet of 36 pirate ships. These ships carried approximately 2,000 pirates to raid the Chagres estuary. Captain Morgan's first target was to disable the fort protecting the area, the Castillo San Lorenzo. Morgan would lose 5 of his ships in the attack, including his flagship, the Satisfaction. He would then lead an attack on land, plundering Panama City. It was later learned that Morgan was a privateer, an admiral working directly for King Charles. In the eyes of England, Morgan was not a pirate. King Charles gave Morgan instructions to attack and rob Spanish colonies. To aid in his attacks, Morgan recruited hundreds of pirates from around the Caribbean areas to serve him. Morgan would then split all captured riches with King Charles. In a fate that was not shared by many pirates, Captain Morgan was actually able to retire and enjoy his stolen riches that built up his wealth. He allegedly died of alcohol poisoning in his 50s. The next pirate is going to be Captain Edward Teach, also known as Blackbeard. Described as a tall man with a long coat, he would have a belt full of pistols. This pistol belt would sling over his shoulder from each side. He also had very wild, intimidating eyes. He had a large black beard as well, and legend has it that his beard was loaded with burning cannon fuses that would smoke and burn as he walked by. His ship was the Queen Anne's Revenge. The Queen Anne's Revenge was captured by Blackbeard in November of 1717, and she began as a French Concorde named Le Concorde. She was designed for speed and ocean crossings. She was originally a French slave ship. When captured, she had 16 guns. Captain Edward Teach had her refitted, removing much of the superstructure to save deck space. She was rearmed as well. Over 100 feet in length, 104 to be exact. She was 300 tons. She was a 300-ton Concorde, and she was armed with 40 cannons and had a crew of approximately 150 pirates. She would be run aground on June 10th, 1718, just after blockading the port of Charleston, South Carolina. Blackbeard would run her aground because the authorities were closing in, and though she was well armed, she would not be able to fight off the Royal Navy. She was also too large to hide, so the decision was made to run her aground and destroy her. 6 months after he runs the Queen Anne's Revenge aground, the Royal Navy would catch him and execute him. And that would bring the terror reign of Blackbeard, Captain Edward Teach, to an end. The next one is Captain William Kidd. Captain Kidd was a privateer. He worked for the King of England in 1698. He preyed on vessels in the Indian Ocean, and he was one of the Caribbean's most successful raiders. He had become famous, rich, and feared. His last pirate ship was the Quedagh Merchant, a very large ship with towering and ornate stern castle. Single plank exterior only hull, built with a tongue and groove technique known as rabbiting. Her hull was constructed of teak, a type of wood native to India that is very water resistant and durable. She was captured by William Kidd, and it was discovered that she carried treasure such as gold, silk, and sugars. Kidd decided to make her his pirate ship and claimed her as a prize. He would then sail her back to the Caribbean. He would later discover that he is in fact a wanted man. The goods that he plundered from the Quedagh Merchant actually belonged to a nobleman in the court of the Indian Mughal Emperor. The theft of this vessel would trigger problems with England's trade along the African and Indian coastlines. She disappeared in 1699 off the south coast of the Dominican Republic. The merchant looking after her for Captain Kidd decided he did not want to be tried for piracy as well, so he would strip her of her valuables, set her on fire, and send her adrift. Captain Kidd would then head to Boston in an attempt to clear his name, but he would be arrested and sent back to England and tried for piracy. He would be found guilty and sentenced to death. He would be hanged, however the first attempt was thwarted as the rope would break. Unfazed, his executioners would hang him again. This time he would be killed. His body would then be put in irons and hung as a deterrent to piracy. These privateers were operating during what is called the Golden Age of piracy. These figures have been immortalized in motion pictures, model kits, and modern literature. These people were in fact criminals that robbed and plundered innocent people for personal gain. They took possessions by force, often deadly force was used. I do understand the romanticizing of criminals in today's society. I mean, who doesn't love The Godfather or Goodfellas or even The Sopranos? Hollywood has always seemed to make the villain very appealing. I am a lover of ships from all periods as well as different kinds of ships. From ocean liners to spaceships and everything in between, they interest me. I am also a lover of history. To me, there is a fascination of the time period, especially the ships that were used in the golden age of piracy. To me, they are among the most beautiful ships ever made. I hope that this brief history of the pirates, their ships of choice, and the areas they operated in has piqued your interest, and I hope you have enjoyed my video. Thank you for watching.